Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game S. So, taking another video on the Plaion Neo Geo AES Plus. That is because I had a plan to do a game list, 10 games I'd love to see published after AES actually is back on the market, and Plaion hopefully see success with their Neo Geo re-release. But just a few hours ago, they actually came out with a video going over 10 of the most commonly asked questions, some of which I feel like we already answered on the channel from details we knew, but we're going to be going over some of those top level notes, and then right at about the 4-minute mark, we're going to be going into the 10 games I would love to see get published in a next batch of games, because Plaion has teased that they are asking players and fans what they would love to see next after the initial batch of 10, and because the pre-order campaign went absolutely insane for them and they ended up with way more orders than they even thought, I really do think like this is going to be a product that's going to be around for a very long time. And honestly, getting Neo Geo back in 2026, absolutely amazing. Did not have it on my bingo card, but I am so excited for that to be the case. So we're going to go right into some of these questions. And this is from Plaion's official video. I've cut it up a little bit, credited them, and the link is in the description below. So if you want to know any of that particular information or watch through the whole video, because I will be paraphrasing, it'll be down there before you as well. But the first question people were talking about is the analog output. They have confirmed that it is RGB with stereo hookups. And that's one of those things, if it can carry an RGB signal, it should be able to carry any other signal, component, and composite. That has not been confirmed yet, but they do state that it is RGB as well as stereo, and that's basically the best quality you can get out of something like the Neo Geo AES, and you can always convert RGB to other formats as well if you so want to. But for those of you out there with SCART TVs or PVMs, you're going to be able to play the Neo Geo AES Plus in the best quality possible, even better than when I play it on my PVM, because I still use S-Video, so that is a nice bonus. Now going into the next question, people were asking, do the games include a manual? And while those were never photographed, everyone always assumed that you would be getting the exact same setup as you would if you actually bought an AES cartridge. And they have confirmed, yes, that the games are getting manuals. I would imagine they're going to be a one-to-one reproduction with the originals, because sometimes they're in black and white and sometimes they're in color, but every game is going to come with a manual. And they've also confirmed that all the games are going to be region-free, which honestly was my expectation, because there's never been such a thing as region locking on a Neo Geo AES cartridge. Yes, you need a Unibios if you want to be able to actually select your region, but if you had a Japanese AES cart and you put it into a North American AES back in the day, you would end up with the American version because of the BIOS. The next question is whether or not the new games are going to be compatible with the old console. We knew old games were compatible with the AES Plus, and that has been confirmed as well. So if you want to bring your collection of AES games like I can to the new Neo Geo AES Plus, that's going to be possible as well. And at the end of the day, no matter what technology they're using, they are just basically still game ROMs on a cartridge, and for the most part, you'd have to actually make some big mistakes so they weren't cross-compatible, because this thing is basically just the MiSTer FPGA Neo Geo core with some changes put onto an ASIC or application-specific integrated circuit, so that expectation was always there, but it is good to hear Plaion 100% confirm that. Additionally, all the wireless controllers are going to be able to be used wired as well, and all of the controllers are cross-compatible from the old AES to the new AES, so we're definitely looking forward to a lot of fun come November, and I can't wait to personally be able to test this thing out, capture some video, do some reviews and comparisons. While I have no idea if I will get a review unit, even though I'm known for talking about FPGA, Neo Geo, and everything else, I'll just have to wait and see. But now we're jumping back into the original intent of this video before I added to it this morning, and that is the 10 games I would love to see published in a round 2. And if you know me and you know the channel, you know full well I'm going to kick it off with Matra Melee. It is absolutely my favorite fighting game on the Neo Geo, even if I'm not saying it's the best game on the Neo Geo. It has so much charm, so much personality, absolutely wacky characters, and it is just one of those games, once you play it, you will never forget it. It also has one of the best soundtracks of all time, and that definitely depends on what region you're in. You have to play this one on the Japanese region to get the best music. So it's going to be our first soundtrack sample, then we're going to jump into the 9 other games I would love to see published on the Neo Geo AES Plus. So enjoy the music. I'll be right back with more.
Round one.
Now, staying in the fighting game genre, one game that I do not own on AES and I would absolutely pick up an AES Plus copy for would be Waku Waku 7. I'm not saying, again, that this is the best fighting game on the Neo Geo in any way, shape, or form. It is absolutely a competent fighting game that has all of 7 characters, hence Waku Waku 7. And even though it could definitely have some more, getting it up to Waku Waku 69 status, it's one of those things. This game is just straight up an absolutely charming, colorful fighting game that is just wearing its personality on its sleeve. And Maru here, absolutely bringing the cake to the fighting game party, if you know what I mean. It's just one of those things. This game is so unique and so charming, and it is one of those titles on an original AES cart is going to cost you a small fortune, and it's a game that I feel like a lot of people have never played before. Leave me a comment down below and tell me, have you ever heard of or played Waku Waku 7? I would be curious. And I feel like because people are getting back into Neo Geo, and it seems like Plaion has a lot of big plans for the console, if somebody saw a $90 copy of Waku Waku 7, I feel like they'd be really compelled to thinking about picking it up. And honestly, it has the best last boss fight in fighting games ever, in my opinion. I'm not saying from a technical standpoint, I'm just saying from this thing turns into a gigantic kaiju battle at the last possible minute, and I am 100% there for that because I love kaiju big battle every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And Fernandez here, a gigantic bat who basically just looks like a marble, 10 out of 10 final boss in my opinion. And just like Matcha Melee, the soundtrack on this one is straight up gold, so we're going to do a quick second soundtrack sample before I get into the meat, and I'll be right back with a lot more.
Round 1, fight! Round 2, fight!
I mean, honestly, Waku Waku 7 is a banger, and I hope to see it republished on AES Plus. Now moving over to something that shouldn't really have much of a licensing issue, this is Metal Slug 3, and I know we can argue what is the better game, Metal Slug X or 3. For me personally, I would love to see 3 be the next Metal Slug game that comes out, but honestly, if they're planning on releasing more, I feel like they're going to either go to 2 or X. Although if they're going to release all of them, I hope they release both 2 as well as X, because even though it's the same base game, X has some changes, and I would love to have both copies available on my shelf. But for me personally, I always say this, the best Metal Slug game ever made in my opinion has got to be Metal Slug 3. It's huge, it's well detailed in the sprite department, it has so much charm and character, it has aliens, projectile blood vomit, everything you want out of a good run and gun game. And honestly, these crab monsters here are just straight up 10 out of 10 as far as fighting them is concerned. Metal Slug 3 was actually the original Metal Slug game I ever played in arcades. I fell in love with it and I have so much nostalgia for this one. And trust me, it is not a game you want to purchase on an original AES cartridge. It costs an absolute fortune. And even though this thing has been republished to death and again, you can play it out there for a hell of a lot cheaper than $90 US. It is something that I think a lot of people who want to start getting more AES cartridges in the AES Plus variety would definitely be happy picking up, because for 90 bucks on a physical cart that you could put into an AES or AES Plus, you could do a hell of a lot worse than Metal Slug 3. And again, I would love to see the entire run of Metal Slugs on the AES Plus, even if Metal Slug 4 and 5 aren't the most entertaining games. As far as 3 is concerned, the bosses are epic. Everything about this game is just straight up a 10 out of 10. But this game definitely doesn't hold your hand. It's going to take you in the back alley and mug you for every single quarter that's in your pocket, but you're never going to have as much fun getting absolutely tossed around and beaten up outside of playing Metal Slug or the time I hung out with your mom that one time. And again, this is just an absolutely iconic Neo Geo game, and when I first played this one, I just felt like I was playing something so special and something I couldn't play on my Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis, and being turned into a zombie and not having a bomb, but a gigantic stream of blood that you projectile vomit to destroy things. That is just Neo Geo gold from start to finish, and I love the alien storyline on this one, and I really do feel like Metal Slug 3 has the best bosses in any Metal Slug game ever made. So if one and only one other Metal Slug game could ever come to something something like the Plaion Neo Geo AES Plus, I would absolutely 100% pick Metal Slug 3. But you go down in the description below and you tell me what's your favorite Metal Slug, and if it's one, just give me a second pick and tell me which one you'd love to see come to the AES Plus after we get the original Metal Slug. But honestly, Metal Slug 3 is a perfect game from start to finish for me, and one that I play every single year and never get tired of. Moving back into the shmup category, obviously Pulsar has already been announced as one of the launch games for the AES Plus, so you know full well I'm gonna have to get Blazing Star along for the ride. It's basically the more arcadey, faster paced version of Pulsar, and this thing does some trickery with 2D sprite work and backgrounds that makes it feel like the Neo Geo can actually handle full 3D. It's just absolutely wild how impressive this game can truly be. Though I will say it doesn't start off on its best foot, because while the original stage does have some fun graphical effects, it really is later on in the game where this thing shows just what could be done as far as 2D graphics are concerned on Neo Geo. Because even though the original Neo Geo games definitely look very 16-bit, even though technically the Neo Geo is a quote-unquote 24-bit system, the later stage games absolutely feel like they're almost running on a completely separate console. And it's one of those things, Blazing Star straight up from start to finish, every bit as hard and fun and challenging as Pulsar, but maybe just a little bit faster. I wouldn't call it a bullet hell game, but it definitely has more projectiles on screen than something like Pulsar ever did. And here you'll see a lot of those insane graphical effects. I mean, look at that skybox in the background. It's just absolutely going by, looking almost like it's an FMV video being played over the top of the graphics. And you have the parallax scrolling all of the bullets. Just straight up a magical game in my opinion. And trust me, this isn't even the most impressive 3D trick you're ever going to see it play. When you get to stage 2, suddenly with all of this aspect here, all of this viewport feeling like it actually disappears into the background, even with some color shading. This is just straight up one of the prettiest games on Neo Geo, one of the best shmups, and one I hope comes to the AES Plus. It's also going to be our next soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen for 35 seconds. I'll be back with a lot more games I would love to see get released. We'll just have to wait and find out if I'm ever actually right on any of these guesses. But enjoy, because it is straight up good. You just better get used to hearing the word bonus, because I think that's Nancy from Neo Turf Master saying on the Queen, but saying bonus over and over again. Now here is one that is absolutely a long shot, but something that I would absolutely love to see happen. On the Neo Geo CD, we had Samurai Shodown RPG, and maybe about 2 years ago, it got fully translated over to English. And even though obviously it has a CD soundtrack, I'm sure something could be done to kind of water that down and bring it over to a Neo Geo AES Plus cart. Just talk to the developer who actually did the patching and the translation on this one and re-release Samurai Shodown or Samurai Shodown Tales of the Bushido in English on AES Plus. You can do it in Japanese as well. You could have it for every single region. And again, I get this is the moonshot here, but if they release this on an AES cart, I would be 100% a buyer of it day one, because honestly, this game is absolutely straight up fun, and I feel like most people don't even know it exists. And if you want to check it out now, you can play it on MiSTer FPGA on the Neo Geo CD core. You can emulate it, and you can play it on real hardware as well. And it is just straight up fun to see Neo Geo make an RPG for one of their systems, and obviously known to be a fighting game developer. This absolutely shows that SNK could make games in a lot of different genres and be absolutely successful with it. And this translation is amazing. It is for all of the different campaigns in the game. This thing has dozens upon dozens of hours of really fun RPG gameplay for you, and I feel like if Plaion wants to go into the deep cut vault of SNK and Neo Geo, this is one that they should absolutely take a look at, because again, it's not like we have any other RPGs on the actual Neo Geo system. So if they're trying to actually fill out the entire genre list like we saw with Overtop being announced and not being the most amazing racing game ever made, something like an RPG would absolutely fit the Neo Geo Plus, and honestly, this is the only one that really exists. So I would love to see Samurai Shodown RPG come out as a cart. It would absolutely be one of the coolest things to happen in Neo Geo history, in my opinion. But let's go back to the fighting game genre because of course you know full well you probably could have guessed at the beginning of this video I had to recommend at least one of the Last Blade games for inclusion in an AES Plus cartridge version. And honestly I went back and forth between the Last Blade and the Last Blade 2. Both of these games are exceptional. I would be happy if they announced either of them. But for me personally I think the original Last Blade is like 0.1% better than Last Blade 2, and it is something even though I own an AES cartridge of, I think would be an excellent inclusion in the Neo Geo AES Plus library, because this game is just straight up the best thing SNK ever made, not called Geru Mark of the Wolves, and because this thing has a completely different fighting vibe and feel to it. Honestly, you could put it side by side with Geru and say they're both the best fighting game SNK ever made, they just happen to play completely differently. And yes, I will say it right now and you guys can debate it in the comments, friendly of course. As far as weapons-based fighters are concerned, on the Neo Geo developed by SNK, I would say the Last Blade is a better game than any of the Samurai Shodown games. Now don't get me wrong, they're all incredible and I love them all almost equally, but if I was going to have to play just one weapons-based fighter on the Neo Geo to the end of time, and I had to get rid of the rest of them, I'm picking the Last Blade over my favorite Samurai Shodown game, which is going to be Samurai Shodown 2. And really, that is just the fact that SNK made so many incredible fighting games for the Neo Geo, we have to eliminate some of the best fighting games ever made to pick even a better fighting game in my opinion. And this is one, again, not the most expensive AES cartridge out there, but definitely something that not everyone's going to go out and buy. And just like the last video, people have been asking me if this is going to lower the value of Neo Geo AES carts, the originals, and no, I do not think an AES Plus cart is an original. They will never be treated that way. And even if I don't really care what happens with the pricing of AES carts because I'm not planning on selling mine, if these games don't come out, you're going to see people go to eBay and to forums trying to buy some of the original carts that don't cost a fortune because they're going to want to have more to play and collect on their AES Plus. So if you have a big Neo Geo AES collection, you're worried about the value, one, I wouldn't be, and two, trust me, there's a lot better investments out there than investing in video games because the bottom could completely fall out of this in like a week and they could all become basically $100 copies. And in some ways that would be really fun for me because I would buy every single Neo Geo game ever made, but that's not going to happen, so don't worry about it. But this, again, is just something straight up. I want to see this come back out. That way more people can collect it, more people can play around with it, and get a chance to check out the Last Blade on quote-unquote real hardware. It's also going to be our next soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen for 35 seconds, but come back. I have even more games to showcase here. Okay, legit, I was just messing with you guys a little bit because I'm also recommending Samurai Shodown 2 is another game I'd love to see come out on AES Plus. That is because it absolutely is straight up an amazing game, my favorite Samurai Shodown ever made in fact, and it's one of those things. This used to be a quote-unquote very cheap cartridge for AES, but in the intervening years it's definitely gone up in price. I'm seeing Sam Show 2 carts out there go for like $200 to $300 depending on condition, and this thing used to be like a $50 to $60 game. Back when I picked it up, I think I paid all of $40 for it, and it is in really nice condition. And don't get me wrong, every single Samurai Shodown game on the Neo Geo is a fun time. It's one of those things, I love every one of them, but if I had to pick one Samurai Shodown game to play for the rest of all time and get rid of all of the other ones, kind of an F, marry, kill situation, I'm absolutely marrying Samurai Shodown 2. It is absolutely everything you need out of a Samurai Shodown game, and it really is a masterclass in the entire franchise. It has all of the best flow, all of the best characters, just all of the best gameplay in my opinion. And again, don't get me wrong, there really isn't a quote-unquote bad Samurai Shodown game when it comes to the Neo Geo, but for me, if they're going to publish one of them, just start with Samurai Shodown 2, because even though the original is a fun time, if they're not going to go in order of release as far as these actual new cartridges are concerned, if they're going to jump in at Samurai Shodown anywhere, and obviously they are, because Samurai Shodown 5 is first of one of the 10 games to come out, then the second one is definitely where I would start next. It's just one of those things, the graphics, the soundtrack, the overall gameplay, and replayability, it's just straight up 10 out of 10 magic when it comes to something like this, and I definitely think each and every one of you would love checking it out. Now, if we're going to have Garo Mark of the Wolves on the AES Plus, we should definitely have a Fatal Fury game as well, and it honestly has like 2 different generations going on. You have the original Fatal Fury up through Fatal Fury Special, then you go to the Real Bout franchise, which is Real Bout Fatal Fury, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, and Real Bout Fatal Fury 2. For my money, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, and again, very hard to say all those things in a row without screwing it up. This is not my first attempt, is my favorite of the Real Bout shove genre. It's just one of those things. This game absolutely hits in every way I want it to, and it is what I think is the best usage of the multiplane fighting system, because you can go into the foreground and background here like you could in some of the other Fatal Fury games, and that got dropped from Mark of the Wolves. So honestly, I kind of feel like this franchise has 3 different distinct generations. You have the original Fatal Fury games, you have the Real Bout franchise, and then you have the culmination of what amounts to Mark of the Wolves, and obviously City of the Wolves on modern platforms. This one just straight up is everything you want out of a Fatal Fury game, and one that used to be relatively quote-unquote cheap on the AES, that just really isn't that cheap anymore. One of those things, a lot of these games that I bought for like $100 to $150 10, 15 years ago definitely are getting way higher in value, and because this is something that's definitely 100% owned by SNK, it's something that obviously Plaion could make a cartridge out of if they wanted to, because they didn't license the ability to produce any Neo Geo game out there owned by SNK. That would have been a big miss, but of course we don't really know, and Mai here has every bit as much cake as she does in every other game, if that is something that is important to you. And before you ask, I have absolutely no idea about the censorship on the AES Plus or any of the cards. Obviously, in some releases, you have to actually use a Unibios to unlock certain features like a Bouncy Mai, that is what it's called. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens when those come out, but I'm sure they're not going to make it so that you end up having a watered down version of the game would be my guess, because now, in 2026, basically anyone cares about a sprite with a little bit of jiggle to it. But Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, my favorite of the Real Bout sub-franchise, and it's just one of those things. More people need to play this one, because everyone always talks about Mark of the Wolves, but I rarely ever hear anyone talk about Real Bout, and trust me when I say you're absolutely missing out if you don't check this one out. So hopefully one day soon it's going to be something you can buy on the AES Plus, but we'll have to wait and see. And it's really this kind of my list of things I would love to see come over to AES Plus. You leave me your list down below, maybe 5 or 10 games that have not been announced that you'd love to see. And again, if this video does well, maybe I'll make another version, because I'm just enjoying the resurgence of Neo Geo talk on the internet, because I always love talking Neo Geo. I do it all the time on the channel. I'm just basically making these videos as an excuse to talk Neo Geo one more time. But short of that, hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.